Hi, my name is Ben Nelson, and this will be my reflection on the Intro to Religion class that I've been taking this year. Um, so to answer these questions, well, so I grew up Roman Catholic, and in that sort of system, it's very like all or nothing. You follow one way of thinking, you have one way you do things, and in a very Christian sense, any other way of worshiping God or Jesus or anything like that is wrong. So I was taught that Jesus is the best. There's nobody better than him, and you. This is the truth of the universe, and you're gonna go to hell if you don't think it. Um, I believed it for a little bit. You want to be a good person. You want to like Jesus, and I really quickly grew out of it. I really started questioning things around like 12, 13 when I was like, well, why? Like why, you know, why worship a, a guy as a god? He's just a man. Like that was my big thing. Like I love what he did preach, and he did amazing things for the sake of teaching people kindness, and that is the message. Love is the message. But, that's not what it was about for a lot of people. It was about being right and excluding others, and I really didn't like it. So really, as I got more and more introduced to science, I became more and more of an atheist. I don't consider myself an atheist now. I consider myself spiritual, kind of doing my own thing. I don't believe in any organized religion though. So when I went into this class, I was pretty firmly against organized religion and only really saw it on the basis of like, well, it's social cohesion. It is a vehicle for people for control, one might say, and I think through the process of this class, I was really taught that even past to differentiate really between like the religious services and the organizational practices versus individual spirituality and the interaction of both, because both are really essential for that. And the humanism was a big one. Secular humanism was another big thing for me. Just to say that people really do want spirituality and do want that greater sense of seeing the universe and everything. And I think I agree with that. I just didn't have a name for it, and it was nice to be introduced to that, to see what it was. I think critical tolerance was something that I had good experience with beforehand, just with dealing with so many different peoples of different faiths, and really, like, I always wanted an understanding of what that was about, you know. So it was really good introducing to a more organized thought system for that, rather than like kind of the loose collection of life experience that I had. That kind of validated a lot of the things that I was going out and practicing. Um, some of the In what ways, if any, did this course cause you to stretch and adjust your own spiritual and cultural views? Really, what I really wanted out of this course was really getting introduced to the Islamic faith. I feel like, there's such a bad representation of it in the West through everything 9/11, everything like that. So much Islamophobia, like any mention of it that might pop up on YouTube just culturally or anything, regardless of the context it is, would be scrutinized by my parents. My mom especially, never wanted me to be introduced to that because they just thought it was evil, because they just thought I would hate America and hate everything and want to kill them, and that's just so untrue. And really, I wanted to be introducing to the loving aspect of it, the spiritual aspect of it, and coming from the perspective of Dr. Shafiq, it was really it's a peaceful thing, ultimately for any religion, it's the baseline of humanity that is this violent thing, and religion always tries to be above that, but people ultimately use it as a justification for the things they want to be violent for. And I think that's always true. I think you can't. That's human nature. You can't stop that. But there are people like Jesus, like the Buddha, like all the prophets in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, who want something better for humanity and know there's something out there, and want that higher connection to everything. It's right there. We are all capable of it. And that's why I appreciate Islam. I appreciate Sufism, the more spiritual aspect of it, because it really tries to broaden, what Islam is, rather than like the individual, like the rituals and the five pillars, and like what the exclusionary nature that has been embraced, past Prophet Muhammad's life and everything like that. Um, there's so much kindness to be had in it. It's interesting, especially with Islamic history, because of the expansion of everything. It was done in a very militaristic fashion, with Islamic armies just moving into a very, very weakened Roman and Persian Empire, Sassanid, or was it the Parthians before that? I can't remember. Um, so getting into that culture and immediately taking sway over all the most religious sites in the world, because you had the two, Christianity and Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism was basically wiped out and assumed into Islamic culture. Persian thought and Persian culture is very influential on Islam. And you can see that in the art. You can see that in the thought processes. And especially too, Greek philosophers were very influential on early Islam, and the Socratic spiritual method that Christianity and Judaism pioneered. That was very much there. It was very much. It was an intellectual movement. It was a spiritual movement. It was a cultural movement, and how everything like that spread. And I'm so glad that I got to be introduced to that, to have a better understanding of that, a better understanding of what that looks like, and to get over some of the biases that I might have, that 9/11 has just enforced on me, and everything after that, and everything, all the pro-Israel rhetoric and everything that I'm surrounded by constantly in life. How has this course affected your ability to understand and emphasize those religious traditions? I think a lot of young Americans just hate organized religion in general because of how strictly it was enforced on them, and I know so many queer folks in typically organized religions like that immediately attack queer rights or the rights of minorities or everything like that. So it leaves a very negative taste, and I learned the flexibility in that. It hasn't always been like that, and the reasons for why queer folks were attacked were so specific and minute, but they spread. It's amazing how that can happen. Uh, I really appreciate this course for introducing me to the pantheons, and for the specific reasons of why this is so divine to people, why this is so profound and needed in people's lives. I really do appreciate that, and I want that for everybody. I want everybody to find a peace no matter what religion it is, and no matter what you do or what you do to live, thrive, and survive. We're all the same. And, people will try to find ways of differentiating themselves, as is very typical of, the tribalistic way humans thought. That's how the Neanderthals were. That's how, like, early humanity was first curated, and how it needed to function at first. But as we live in larger and larger and more interconnected societies with one another and more different ways of thinking interacting with one another, we need a way of coping with that. These older um, religions and these older systems of faith are more adherent to more tribalistic tendencies, like I especially see it in Christianity. Uh, with my church is better than yours, and the people who think there's only one way of being saved. Like that's what my grandparents think. Um, but I know that's not all religions try to send a universal message, and I appreciate that.